I want to thank Sinn Féin for bringing this motion. It's something that this group has talked on many times in my time in the Dáil since 2016. I welcome it, and I welcome that the government is not abolishing it, but there is no time span given for when it will be abolished. And it's the most basic thing that we should do in a republic, along with having a payment for disability. Two practical measures that would show that we're serious about living a republic. And again, this debate takes place in the context of many reports. In 22, the Committee on Gender Equality made recommendations in relation to that a person should be assessed on an individual means. The National University of Ireland did a report for Carers Ireland, talked about income. Family Carers pre-budget submission called for the full abolition of the means test. Separately from that, we had the cross-party committee on many things, but in relation to carers, they said the report examined the impact of means testing on carers allowance, and the organisations detailed a range of issues to the committee, including that means test is burdensome and difficult to navigate, and it deters people from getting employment and so on. So we've had any amount of reports. In addition to those reports, we've had the Irish Human Rights and Equality Commission, who appealed to the government among 40 recommendations to place care within the human rights framework for care. We have the OECD telling us that the number of hours spent on unpaid care work valued at an hourly minimum wage, which is the wage that most women get who are in it, would amount to 90% of the global GDP. So that's the context. Then we have the amount of people getting the carers allowance after they've jumped through all the hoops is minimal. It's just 98,000 plus. And then we have the amount of people that are getting no pay whatsoever. I want to thank the library, as always, for their brief note in relation to this and for giving us the history in relation to this. And they tell us that 300,000 unpaid carers, 6% of the population, 46% of carers provided up to 14 hours of unpaid help per week, and so on. And a staggering statistic, 2/3 of carers were aged between 40 and 64, and 15% over 65. So we're here today for the umpteenth time appealing to the government, and the only changes the government have done two things. One, they're not opposing this motion for the first time, and the second thing is that I understand that Minister Humphreys set up a committee to look at this. And again, words don't mean anything, and I have the greatest respect for Minister Humphreys, and I think she recognised the problems. However, she said the report will be completed in the third quarter of this year. I don't know, Minister, whether you refer to that report. Maybe I missed it in your speech because I was elsewhere, but I would like it clarified, where is that report? Because that's the report we should be discussing today for the abolition of the means test for the carers allowance. And when we go to door from tomorrow or the next day onwards, I can tell you that will be top of the list. The slaughter in Palestine, carers, the means test, public care, public childcare, housing and public transport and help. They're the issues. And you know, they haven't changed since the day I stood in 2011 and 16. I didn't hear anyone asking for a reduction in tax, although that would be very welcome for people. What they asked was for services. And so if I stick to the topic here today, no economy can function without carers. I've read out the figures that are doing it for nothing. I've read out the ones that are doing it having passed the means test. But what's missing here is what the Irish Human Rights and Equality Commission and OPEC have pointed out. It must be based to an economy can't function without carers. And it's time we actually put a cost on what is not happening, not the cost of paying the carers, but the cost of not doing that.